As you were telling your story, Stephen, I was getting a little nervous when you were talking about the man's wife leaving him and his daughter having a problem and him losing his job. And I thought, oh my God, he's going to tell us we have so much in common. And then Diane showed up. So I know everything's all right in the Brabant household. Oh, that's something to be grateful for, right? So the theme for this month is gratitude. And gratitude plays an important part at the Center for Spiritual Living Westlake Village. It really does. It is part of our spiritual practice, part of my personal spiritual practice. And the more we acknowledge our gratitude, of course, the more the good in our lives grows exponentially. It's a noun, gratitude, and it means the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for, and to return kindness. Melody Beattie, who wrote some wonderful books, she said, gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion to clarity, and it can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past. It brings peace for today, and it creates a vision for tomorrow. I love that. This past week, I discovered that there's an organization called The Greater Good. It's called The Science of a Meaningful Life. And you can actually go on their website. It's a wonderful website. Robert Emmons is the creator of this organization, and he is perhaps the world's, according to the website, the world's leading scientific expert on gratitude. And he argues that gratitude has two components. He said, first, it's an affirmation of goodness. We affirm that there are good things in the world, gifts and benefits that we've received. In the second part of gratitude, he says, we recognize that the sources of this goodness are outside of ourselves. We acknowledge that other people, a higher power, if you're of that spiritual mindset, which we are definitely here, give us many gifts, big and small, to help us achieve the goodness in our lives. And what I've discovered wonderfully in my own life is that our relationship to our spiritual community and all the people in this spiritual community is an important barometer of the level of gratitude that we feel. The social dimension of our being in a state of gratitude or appreciation is especially gratifying through our association with one another on this journey of spiritual self-discovery. And I see it so much in my own personal life. Friday night I was blessed to be able to go to the Granada Hills annual auction. They had a Motown evening, and it was just so much fun. And to be able to go and see the people that were at that center when I was there, and then to see how much it's grown and changed since I was there under the tutelage of Reverend Mike McMorrow. It was just so gratifying, and I was in such gratitude for him and his ability to maintain that center. I like Richard Emmons. I see gratitude as a relationship strengthening emotion. I see it as something very necessary to my personal life because it requires me to see how I've been supported and affirmed by people in this spiritual community. Why would we continue? I guess this is a good question. Why would we continue to be in relationship with one another if we weren't supported by the people here? I mean, seriously, why would we continue to be in a relationship with anyone where we didn't feel supported? Gratitude encourages us not only to appreciate the gifts that we've received, but it allows us to repay those gifts by paying them forward, where we can see how our good is shared in an expansive way by moving out into our world and changing the lives of others. Why I always say in class to the students, don't keep this teaching to yourself. Share it, pay it forward out into the world in the same way that Stephen did with the man on the airplane. He shared a moment, it was a teaching moment, if you will, and he shared a part of himself with this person that he may never see ever again. But it might have been a life-changing experience for this other person. And we don't know how it changes someone else's life. Sarah Bonbrana, who wrote a wonderful book called Simple Abundance, she said both abundance and lack exist simultaneously in our lives as parallel realities. It is always our conscious choice which secret garden we will tend when we choose not to focus on what is missing from our lives, but we are grateful for the abundance that is present. Love, health, family, friends, work, and the joys of nature, and personal pursuits that bring us pleasure. The wasteland of illusion falls away, and we experience heaven on earth. That's really what gratitude is all about. Some of you here today have enjoyed the benefits of visioning, and it's a wonderful practice, a wonderful spiritual practice to get involved with. And in the process have taken the desires of the heart into visualization one step further, and concretely can now see something really wonderful that's out picturing in your own life. Your lives are out picturing your heart's desires, and I know that's true for many people here, not the least of which is our own wonderful Dylan Neal with his wonderful TV show called Cedar Cove. That's my plug for the day, okay? Yes, thank you. It resumes in July, right? Yes. So see where I am here today. It's on the Hallmark Channel. I'm an avid watcher of the show. Anyway, I digress, as I always do, standing up here. But we see them out pictured in the material world. We see the realization of our desires out pictured. And at the beginning of the year, I declared to anyone who would listen to me, mostly the Board of Trustees, and some people that I share time and space with on a more in-depth level, that I wanted CSL Westlake to become a shared sanctuary for another faith tradition. Some of you already know about this. And every day in my meditation and my prayer work, I visioned for the qualities of being that I wanted to see in our relationship with this other spiritually oriented group. And that they, whoever they might end up being, would amicably share our space and love and appreciate it as much as we do. It was never really about the money, although you know that our rent here is our greatest single monthly expense, so that did kind of factor in our decision. And so Friday night, the new shul, under the tutelage of wonderful Rabbi Michael Barkley, had their first Friday evening service at our center. And some of you were here to welcome them. And it was a little unusual service as I understand it, but I was not able to be here. I invited Rabbi Michael to join me today so that you can get to know him a little bit better. And you know, the talk title today is Thank God I'm Alive, but I sort of never let that talk title get in the way of what I want to say. And so I just want you to understand that one of the feelings of aliveness, if you will, that Ernest Holmes talks about in The Science of Mind, he said it's not so much about that we leave a legacy of anything in this world, but that while we are here, that we live, and it's in capital letters in the Science of Mind textbook, that we live totally and completely, and that we don't save ourselves for the great beyond or for any other destination that might be in, because everybody has that same destination, obviously. But the fact is that we live where we are in the present moment. And for me, having met Rabbi Michael has been such an experience in gratitude for me, because as the process has developed over the last month and a half, I've gotten to know him a little bit better, and I want him to come up here today and share a little bit with you about who he is and what his vision is and why he's in gratitude for being here. So would you give a warm welcome this morning to Rabbi Michael Bartley?
You're all you're all extremely kind, and I thank you. And I thank you, Dr. Marine, for having me here as well. Let's be honest, who of you saw me and thought rabbi? Who thought biker at a wedding? Okay. The new shul is a new synagogue. It's only a couple of years old. It should tell you everything you need to know that we hold our high holidays at the Canyon Club, which is both large and intimate. And my personal commitment is from Psalm 100, where King David says, Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, the work of God is found in being happy. And happiness comes from gratitude. That's the simple reality. And when you're truly grateful, the only answer that you can have is to serve. It's my belief, that's our culture's belief. And everyone here has been so kind, and Dr. Marine has been so amazing in welcoming us into this amazing journey. You know, if you think for just a moment, a what if? What if this exact moment is being choreographed by some great choreographer for your particular benefit, just for you? Since everything is a vibration, every sound, every color, every movement is merely vibration, what if every vibration is exactly what your neshama, your soul, needs? And what's so amazing is not only being choreographed for you, it's being choreographed for me, because it's what we all need at this moment. The only response to that is gratitude and is service. And because as a rabbi, I can speak for hours. But you guys are smart, you only have hour-long services. Exactly, and I have a sisterhood service I have to be at, so you'll excuse me that I can't socialize afterwards, but hopefully we will all get to know each other in the future. It is our tradition to end with some words of text, and so I'd like to share with you a teaching about gratitude from the Torah, from the Bible. The first Jew is a man named Abraham. How many of you have heard of him? Okay, that's good. Abraham is the one who identifies God, identifies with God as in a personal relationship. And he does it through meditation, by the way. God says to him, Lech lecha, go into yourself, go for yourself, away from the home, the family that you have, go to a place that I will show you. It's the first commandment of meditation. But Abraham has a challenge in his life. He has no children. As we all know, he ultimately did have a child. He had Isaac, he had Ishmael before that as well. And it was a real source of pain and distress in his family. So God says to him at one point, and God says, you know, I'm going to make a brit with you, a covenant with you. You're going to do something for me, and I'm going to do something for you. What I'm going to do for you is I'm going to make your descendants as countless as the stars of the heaven, as countless as the sands of the desert. What you're going to do to me or do for me is you're going to get circumcised. That's a lot of faith. But God really knows that Abraham loves him. Abraham knows God's love. And so not only does he do it willingly, he does it joyously. And then he sits outside of his tent, because after that happens with a dull rock and no anesthesia, you don't do a whole heck of a lot of things. And so he sits outside his tent, and 3 days later, as he's sitting, recuperating, these three men walk by. Now, he doesn't know they're angels, but they are. And they walk by. Because he is so grateful for the opportunity to love God and to love other human beings, what does he immediately do? He jumps up, runs to these three guys, and says, come on in, come into my tent. Let my wife and I cook you a meal. Let me wash your feet. Now, let's remember what he just had 3 days ago. So he rushes them in. He rushes them into his home. And they feed him, and they feed the messengers, and they're actually angels, and they wash the feet of these three angels. And one of them says, You're going to be blessed with a son within the year. And what do the parents naturally do? They laugh. And so the name of their son ultimately is Yitzchak, which means laughter. That's what Isaac means, because they didn't believe it. She's 90 years old, and he just had an operation 3 days ago. No one's buying it at this point. And so, because of their gratitude, they serve. And because of that service, they get ultimately what they can be most grateful for in the form of a son, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and descendants coming all the way to now. We do see the Judeo-Christian world, the world coming out of his loins, so to speak, we see today. Not seeing a whole heck of a lot of Malachites and things like that walking around. So obviously his gift, God's gift to Abraham, was true. My prayer is twofold. Number one, it is a prayer of gratitude to all of you, to Dr. Maureen, and to Hashem, to God, for allowing us to start on this journey together in this really wonderfully sacred space. We did it Friday night in a very different way. We had a camp song leader Shabbat from Camp Hess Kramer in Malibu. So a bunch of people up here playing guitar and singing and stuff. It was a lot of fun. But I'm incredibly grateful for that opportunity. And my prayer is that we all continue to be grateful for every moment. Every moment truly is a gift. It really is. And if we allow that, if we accept that into our lives, then the only thing we can do is serve life in return. My prayer is that we are able to help serve your community, that I am able to on a personal level. And again, I thank you so, so much for inviting me to be here today and for allowing us to share this wonderful space with you. Please forgive me, I have a sisterhood that's doing a service tonight. For any of you who have ever been involved in a Jewish sisterhood, you don't want me to be late.
You should know about Rabbi Michael. He has a ponytail, but he won't be having it for very long.
No, it won't be long.
I know, I get that. He's grown his hair for locks for love. And to me, that's a wonderful commentary on who you are. Yes, all right. So that being said, we are in gratitude for this center and for all the people here. And so what I would like for you to do at this time is to join me in consciousness and go within. And know with me this truth, that I know from the bottom of my heart that there is a rhyme and a reason for everything that happens on this plane of consciousness. That the reasons and the rhymes, while they may not be readily known at the present time, that as we move through whatever it is that might be going on in our life, if we reach the point of awareness, of consciousness, where we are in gratitude and grateful for and appreciate every single thing that happens, not only to us, but through us and by us and for us, that it is for the greater soul growth of each and every person here. I know that as I am in gratitude for all the things that I see in my life, that in the present moment, there is such peace and harmony in this idea of gratitude. Having a roof over my head and clothes to wear and food to eat and friends to share time and space with, and a spiritual center that embraces anyone who walks this path for spiritual self-discovery. I know that there is gratitude. There's gratitude in the heart of each and every person here. I know that I am grateful for my health, for the abundant good health and vitality, that I am grateful for right and perfect relationships. I am grateful for being able to earn a living, and knowing that my good is not predicated on what I do for a living, but the passion that I bring to the way in which I creatively express on this plane of consciousness. And I also know that God is good. That is what I know at the very core of who I am, that there is goodness in this relationship with Spirit, and that when I am in conflict with anything in my life, if I go to that perfect place of peace within, I know that there is a sacredness about that space within me that brings everything into proper proportion in my life. And so it is that I stay prayed up on a daily basis, that I know who I am through prayer and meditation, through the ability to see the world not as it is, but how I know it can be. That there is possibility in that kind of thinking. And that it just takes the consciousness of a single mind to change the consciousness of an entire room. An entire room can change the mind of an entire community, and so on and so on. And so I know today for all of us that we are in gratitude for this beautiful center, for all the people in service at this center today, for all those watching on the live stream, for anyone in this center who could not be here today, and for anyone here who may have cried themselves to sleep last night. I know that there is peace and there is solace in this spiritual community. And so it is with a joyful heart and a willing idea. I know that as I release my word to the law this morning, that it is already done in the mind of God, and life is good and very good, because all is well, as we say together, and so it is.